Hi everyone, it's Sam Carey from the New Ed Tech Classroom, and welcome to Tech Tip Tuesday. Today's tip is to reduce your time grading by giving real-time feedback. One of the hardest aspects of being a teacher is the fact that you're expected to work all day during your scheduled hours, but then you often have to spend your free time preparing for the work that you do in those scheduled hours. Between sending emails, corresponding with families, prepping lessons, grading assignments, filling out paperwork, the list goes on. Teachers literally have an entire second workday outside of their actual workday when they are teaching students. From that list, one of the most time-intensive tasks involves grading student work. Not only does grading take up your free time, doing so outside of class often isn't even the most effective way to give students feedback and accelerate their learning. Before we get into specific strategies, it's important to take a moment to reflect on the entire concept of grading. I know when I started teaching, I felt as though I needed to enter a grade for every single assignment, and that by doing so, I was also communicating to my students that every assignment mattered. The problem with this method, however, is that not only are you breaking your back trying to get every single little assignment into the gradebook, you're also starting to create an environment that discourages making mistakes. In other words, by grading everything, you might inadvertently be creating a classroom that isn't as conducive to learning. Research shows that in order for people to learn new information, they need to feel safe to make mistakes, and they need to be given immediate feedback about what they're doing well and where they need to improve. Let's imagine for a second that you've enthusiastically decided to learn a new challenging skill, like how to sail a boat. Then imagine that immediately upon starting lessons, you are given grades for your performance on the water. Didn't execute that turn correctly? That's a D. Tied that knot wrong? A C. And those grades will stick with you up until the very end. So you might be making so many mistakes along your learning journey that you're saddled with a C in the end, even if you ultimately learn everything you need to know and ace the final exam. On top of that, imagine that you don't even get detailed feedback about what exactly you are doing right or wrong until a few days or even a week after a lesson. Could you even remember what that feedback was, let alone apply it in any way that makes sense? I don't know about you, but if this were my experience in a sailing course, I'd likely lose interest in pursuing the hobby. The point I'm trying to make is that if our goal is to create the most ideal environment for learning, and I think it should be, then we need to be encouraging mistakes as well as giving students immediate feedback. This also means that rather than trying to figure out how to integrate all the tech programs you use with your gradebook and spending time entering those grades, it's more important that we find ways to use those tech programs as a way to communicate how students are doing in the moment. Let me give you two quick examples. First, let's look at a program like Actively Learn. Actively Learn allows you to add custom interactive questions to articles you assign to students that they have to answer in order to proceed through what they are reading. Rather than assign an Actively Learn article for students to read outside of class, you could assign the article to them during class. And as their responses come in, give them immediate feedback on their answers. For multiple choice questions, you don't actually need to do anything because students will see whether or not they got an answer correct right after they answer the question. But for short answer questions, you could give students an immediate formative grade and or give them quick written feedback on an answer they submit. If what they wrote isn't correct or needs work, have them go back and revise their responses. You can have a follow-up activity or an extension activity ready to go for the students who finish the article sooner than others. And then, once all students are done answering the questions, go over all of the responses as a whole group and use the opportunity to discuss or reteach questions that a larger percent of students got incorrect. Other programs like Edpuzzle, which you can use for interactive video, work almost exactly the same. Next, let's look at how you could use Google Classroom to give students real-time formative feedback on their work in class. Let's say that students are drafting an essay and you want to give them feedback on the work that they are doing. And let's also say, for example, that you're having students work on how to correctly integrate quotes as evidence, as well as how to explain why their evidence matters. You could take hours outside of class handwriting personal comments, or you could give students in-the-moment feedback using automated comment banks in Google Classroom. Let's look at how. First, make sure you've assigned the assignment to students by making a copy of the assignment for each student. Then, once students have opened their assignments and started working, click View Assignment and select an individual student's work. Once you're in the assignment, highlight the part of the text where you want to leave a comment and select Comment. Then, write the comment you want to leave, and then after you've left it, click on the 3 dots next to it and select Add to Bank. This will add your comment to a comment bank, allowing you to quickly access it again. So if you're in another student's assignment and want to leave the same comment, now all you need to do is highlight the text, select Comment, and this time add the hashtag symbol in order to access a drop-down menu of comments you've already written. This way, rather than giving students feedback on their final drafts, you'll be helping them correct their errors immediately. And even if you do end up grading final drafts outside of class, at least you'll have a bank of comments you can easily access. Virtually every program can be used to give students live, in-the-moment feedback on their work. So rather than worrying about how to transfer results from the programs you're using into your gradebook, focus more on how you can use those programs to give students feedback that will accelerate their learning while also drastically cutting the amount of time you need to spend grading outside of class. Thanks so much for watching my video to the end. If you're looking for support with how to use instructional technology, as well as how to develop technology-integrated lessons and curriculum, then I invite you to click on the link in the video description for 21centurycurriculum.com in order to book a free strategy call with me. In the video description, you'll also find a link to my website, newedtechclassroom.com, where you can find additional resources for teaching with technology, as well as links to my social media accounts on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and TikTok, where I post 60-second quick tips about EdTech. Thanks again for watching, and have a great week.